Board Member Perez Jaquith, friends, family, and neighbors. I am pleased to welcome you to this first meeting of the Town of Niskayuna Task Force on Racial Equity and Justice. At this time, I just ask that you please mute your sound until you're ready to speak. I also ask that you turn off your cell phone and other equipment and just remain in a quiet, secluded location for the balance of the meeting. I greatly appreciate that everyone took the time on this very busy week to join us for our first meeting. Our discussions will be important for the substantive and strategic next moves or steps of the task force, and I think also for our community. I am Dale Black Pennington, a resident member of the task force and a member of the work group on structure. Tonight, I will act as co-moderator for the task force, along with Jamie Puccioni. We have also solicited the assistance of John Lemlin, another member, who will be taking written notes for tonight. Allow me to first personally thank all of you for your tremendous contributions to the work of the task force so far. Tonight, we have ambitious goals. We hope to introduce the task force and its mission and purpose, and also the members that have been selected to participate on this work group. We hope to vote on our bylaws and also to possibly nominate officers or leaders of the task force so we can start getting our work groups together and do the work that we're charged to do. In the spirit of understanding that, can we go down 2 slides? Up 1. In the prophetic and tremendous language of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his letter from Birmingham, we move forward with an understanding that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I shall now turn the meeting over to my co-moderator, Jamie Puccioni, who will move forward with an introduction of the task force. Jamie? You're on mute.
Before introducing the task force members, we will hear from Council Member Rosemary Perez Jaquith to learn more about the task force charge, and then we'll move into introducing task force members. Thank you very much, Council Member Rosemary Perez Jaquith.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to join you tonight. It's really, really nice to be here with you. And it's nice to put all the names and faces together, because I don't know most of you. As you all know, there was a tremendous amount of interest in this task force, about 60 people who were interested in participating in the task force work. And so, and otherwise, we received tons and tons of calls and emails in support of the work of the task force. So very excited. Everyone's very supportive, and we're so pleased that you're committed to doing this really important work. I was asked actually to discuss why this task force was created, how it was created. So I want to share, my thoughts on that. So in early June, I had attended Black Lives Matters rallies in Schenectady and Niskayuna, and listening to those speakers call for action, I walked away contemplating, what could be done to effectuate change. So I engaged my fellow town board members about forming this task force made up of residents that would undertake a review of policies, programs, procedures, and services to determine if there was a disparate impact on the delivery of those programs and services, and to recommend how we might address that. So, and this all occurred prior to the governor's June 12th executive order on a review of policing. So some might ask, why would we even be interested in this? We are a predominantly white community with a really small percentage of Black and Indigenous people of color. Many probably don't believe that race is even a concern, so why undertake this process? What struck me in early June were the many groups of young adults and, again, Black and Indigenous people of color organizing around issues of equality and solidarity right here in Niskayuna. And while their advocacy might not yet be visible to the broader community, I've seen them over the past couple of years as a former school board member. And then there were the speakers at town hall who, I heard their voices and their brave stories that came at great personal cost, where they described a lived experience in Niskayuna that was very different from my own as a light-skinned Latina myself. So when we clearly have a community member, we clearly have community members telling us that race is a concern, even in our small town, in our small, wonderful town. Even though not all can see the effects of racism, it's incumbent on us to listen and to make sure that no one is marginalized. Everyone should feel equally welcome here, and the assets and opportunities available to Niskayuna residents should be available to and utilized by everyone, irrespective of race. We want to be just and fair, and we want to be intentionally inclusive. We all benefit from that. So as a new town board member, I was just elected in January. I'm excited. I really am excited by the promise of what this task force can accomplish. You have the flexibility and freedom to chart your own path quite intentionally. The community is behind you. As I said, the excitement around the texts, the phone calls, the emails and support tell me that. And so in the meantime, just know that your town board members are here if you have questions or want to bounce ideas or approaches off of any of us. Let me close by saying this. We started with a quote from Martin Luther King. This week is the 57th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And while there's been much progress, there certainly remains much work to be done to realize Dr. King's dream that everyone should be judged by their conduct and character and not the color of their skin. So here, at this very first public meeting of this task force, we're asking you, this group of 15 wonderful, committed residents, to do something quite extraordinary. Dr. King said that taking step towards the goal of justice requires the tireless, trying to get the quote correct, the tireless exertions, I just lost my place. Tireless exertions and passionate concern of our tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. So through the tireless exertions and passionate concerns of you, our dedicated task force members, I think we can undertake a concerted and honest review of how we operate. We can endeavor to see things with a view towards a more equitable way of conducting business on behalf of our residents. And through this review process, we can actively listen, we can engage in real conversations and grow, and we can be better. So again, thank you. We all look forward to your recommendations and your thoughts, and we wish you the best of luck. Know that, again, that you have the community support, and wish you all the luck in the world. Thank you again for your service.
Thank you, Council Member Rosemary. We appreciate you being present. So just to summarize, our task force is charged with establishing a shared understanding of the term equity and related terminology. We are also tasked with collecting socioeconomic and racial ethnic data on Niskayuna town residents, assess and analyze whether town programs, policies, procedures, and services affect racial disparities, develop a framework for equitable approach to decision-making, define a plan, recommend allocation of appropriate resources, establish equity targets and measures, and recommend a plan for ongoing community dialogue on race, equity, initiatives, and programs. Now I'd like to move forward and take roll of our task force members who are present this evening, and then go through introductions. As I call each name, please unmute and say present. Arinka Abad.
Present.
David Amadeo.
Present.
Angela Antikowski. Dale Black Pennington.
Present.
Kataki Bodankar.
Present.
Alan Gadsden. Sandra Griffin.
Present.
Dr. Hayward Horton.
Present.
Priti Irani.
Present.
John Lemlin.
Present.
Jillian Margulies.
Present.
Elizabeth Paul.
Present.
Jamie Puccioni, present. Larry Ritter. Devon Wimberly.
Present.
Thank you very much. We will now, each person will have an opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we'll go in alphabetical order. Arinka Abad, please begin.
Good evening, everyone. As a Peruvian, Latin, Hispanic, immigrant woman, and single parent, I understand the challenges that the marginalized and the vulnerable populations face in our society at large. I also recognize what it takes to run this uphill battle. A thriving community is one that encourages residents to share their stories and insights to meet their needs better. I have found that Niskayuna is this community, a supportive community that promotes empathy and change. I'm excited to share any resources and skills I have acquired through my education and experiences to make my community a better place. Presently, I am a full-time all but dissertation ABD PhD student in the Department of Latin American, Caribbean, and U.S. Latino Studies at the University of Albany. My concentrations are immigration, social change, diversity, inclusion, and public policy of several topics such as education, family, and social programs, among others. My strengths are research methods, both quantitative and qualitative. As a mother of a former successful Niskayuna student, I can attest that volunteering in my daughter's education was pivotal. I volunteer at the Niskayuna School District Parent-Teacher Organization as a room parent, co-chair for their junior prom, and co-president of the PTO High School to make parental connections and to support our students. I look forward to serving you, my fellow neighbor. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm David Omodio. I am a lifelong educator, having retired in June of 2019 after about 32 years working in the Albany City School District. I started off as a teacher, substitute teacher first, and then a French teacher in the middle school level, moved on to Albany High School, where I taught for an additional 9 years, then was an assistant principal, mostly in middle school, and then just retired as principal of New Scotland Elementary School after 5 years of tenure there. During my work in Albany City Schools, in which I'm a proud product, as well as my wife and our two sons, I was asked by the district to undertake training courtesy of New York University's Steinhardt School. And this training was around culturally responsive educational practices. So I wholeheartedly agree to that, and have worked alongside several of my instructional colleagues and administrative colleagues as we worked in teaching culturally responsive education practices to cohorts of between 25 and 35 individuals in all levels in the school district. They were administrative, they were clerical, they were instructional, they were maintenance. We didn't move over anyone. Everyone was included in each of the cohorts of educators and those responsible for our children each and every day. So I did that work for about 2 years, just prior to retiring. It was powerful work. It was exhausting work, extremely fulfilling and meaningful. And I look forward to sharing my experience, my practice, and my perspectives with this group and with the town of Niskayuna as we move forward. Thank you.
Angela present?
Okay, then I guess I'll go forward. I am Dale Black Pennington. I'm a relatively new resident of Niskayuna. We've only resided in Niskayuna for about 3 years. It's a community that I've come to love in that short period of time. And by way of introduction of my background, I'm a lawyer. I practiced for over 20 years, starting my career back in 1989 as an assistant district attorney with the Kings County DA's office. That's Brooklyn, New York. That experience sensitized me a great deal to the term justice and the need for a balance in not just our judicial system, but our societal system. I have some very searing recollections of an up-close view of just how injustice affects those in our society. And I hope to offer my skills to this effort and make it a success with every fiber of my body. I hope to make it a success and help Niskayuna to lead the way for this nation to embrace equity and justice for all. It sounds lofty, but I think we can do a great deal. And so far, I'm sort of buoyed by the work that our task force has been doing. I'm an African-American woman born in Jamaica, West Indies. So I understand being an immigrant, and I understand being an African-American, and I understand injustice deeply. So I look forward to contributing to equity and justice here in my home. That's it for me.
Hi, this is Angela. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. Sorry about that. My audio is late. So I'm Angela Antonikowski. I've been a resident of Niskayuna for about since 2003. I've been involved in health equity and inclusion work in a professional context since about 2009. I'm a clinical psychologist and higher education administrator by training. So I'm looking forward to working with with the task force.
Hi, everyone. This is Ketaki Bodhankar. I also go by Kay. I was born and raised in India and moved to the US in 2010. I have as far as educational background, I have a master's in business and a master's of arts in communication. Back in India, I worked at a Big Four consulting and accounting firm before relocating to the capital region. And my professional experience here in the US includes working for a diversity and inclusion consulting firm in Troy, and I currently am a project manager at a financial institution here in Albany. As a mother of two, raising my kids in today's environment, I'm reminded that it is my responsibility to confront racism and discrimination and have more authentic conversation about race and current events in order to make a better world for them and other children. As a person of color and an immigrant, I have experience and understanding of how bias and discrimination can hamper an individual or business's growth and in turn affect the community we live in. So when my husband and I bought a house here in Niskayuna a few years ago, we instantly fell in love with the vibrant neighborhood, the community, and the excellent schools that Niskayuna has to offer. And I'm very excited to be part of a group that is committed to keep it that way and take purposeful steps to ensure a fair and just and conscious community.
Is Alan present? Sandra, you may go ahead. Thank you. Sandra's not here. Sorry, everyone. When I'm presenting, I can't see any of you. I can only see the presentation. So Dr. Horton, you will be next.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Again, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be a part of this task force. Again, I'm Dr. Hayward Derrick Horton. I am a resident here in Niskayuna, been here for 17 years. I'm a native of Norfolk, Virginia. I went to Norfolk State University, got a degree in sociology, went straight from there to Penn State, got a master's and PhD in sociology there. I specialize, then I'm a professor currently at SUNY Albany, but I've taught at two other schools before that, most prior to that in Norfolk State. But I've been here, this fall is my 26th fall here at SUNY Albany. So I've been here a solid 25 years, starting my 26th year. And again, so I'm a professor. I specialize in race and ethnicity, demography, entrepreneurship, and community development. Along with being a professor, I'm an entrepreneur. I have two businesses. One, I have an entertainment business, HDH Entertainment. I'm building my own Motown. So I have musical acts, what have you. I front my own Motown pop funk band. And prior to COVID, we're playing all over the region. We'll be back in the spring. I also have a consulting firm, HDH and Associates. And with that firm, what we do diversity training, community development, entrepreneurship. I work with organizations, businesses, towns, what have you, helping them with leadership training, the whole 9 yards. And so I most recently, I did some work with the city of Rochester, helping them with some leadership issues. And I'm currently actually the director of the Capital District Anti-Racist Training Institute, Allyship, and so Allyship Training Institute. So doing a lot of things there as well. I'm certainly happy to be a part of this group. Niskayuna, I mean, I really enjoy being in Niskayuna, but it's a funny thing as a Black man. The people on my street know me primarily because I have a little dog that I walk. And so they knew my dog before they knew me. But if I try to walk on another street, then I might just get the cops called on because they're gonna want to know what am I doing there. So there's a when you start talking about anti-Black racism, it's a whole nother dimension that I believe that oftentimes many immigrants, particularly those that might be of lighter complexion, wouldn't necessarily encounter. I remember my first summer here, and I was mowing my lawn. The cop stopped and asked me if I was in the neighborhood making money. I laughed and just told him that I live here. So I'm very much interested in working with this group because I suspect that as far as what few Black residents that are here, I suspect that their experiences may be a little different from some of the other quote unquote persons of color. Because anti-Black racism is a totally different dimension. I'm happy to be able to share my time and my talents with this group.
Thank you, Dr. Horton. I believe Sandra is back on the line. Sandra, would you please introduce yourself to the committee members?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, my computer went down. I'm on the phone now. So my name is Sandra Griffin. I have been in Niskayuna for 33 years. I have 2 children who graduated from Niskayuna High School, but my former name know me that way. My as I explained, is a yin and a yang. There have been great experiences in Niskayuna and not great. As a divorced woman, I came here with the 2 kids and from various people who did not look like us. But then we had the driving back. We had a change in prom dates once the parents found out who the date was with. And so as being here 33 years, my feeling is that I have experienced or know of experiences that maybe others have and hopefully may have been modified by now. I just retired. Well, I've been retired from the state of New York after serving 37 years. And I have a business degree, and I was an auditor for the Medicaid program. And it is my hope that with this organization, that we will be able to fine-tune some of the misunderstandings or things that happen that cause people to have negative effects or opinions. I am complete.
Preeti?
Yes, so you can hear me? All right. So I'm Preeti Irani, and I live with our family. That's 2 sons and my husband. We've been here in Niskayuna since 1990. My husband and I, my sons came later. But my younger one is going to be a senior at the high school, and my older one is in graduate school. So we've been here a while. And I guess I was trying to figure out what I would say. Right now, I work for public health at the state health department. And one of the things we know that is for our communities to be healthy, we have to address equity. And that is just across the state. And if you work at the state level, you know the action really happens at the neighborhood level, at the local level. So this, for me, is an opportunity to learn. But over the last couple of years, since last year, one of the approaches we've been using to kind of address equity is building community wealth. And when we say community wealth, is building social connections working with assets that communities have to build equity. Oh, there's an echo. Whoops. All right. And so my experience with Niskayuna is that Niskayuna has a lot of gifts, a lot of strengths that we can work with to build equity. Yeah, we do have challenges, and we've heard some of it. And so one narrative I can give you about where I see the strengths is, um, say, I think for the past 5 or 6 years, one of the projects that in our neighborhood we've been working on is building habitats for monarch butterflies. It started with a little island, in a traffic island in our neighborhood, and it was belonged to the town, and the town gave us permission to make a butterfly garden, which we did. And through building that garden, I realized it wasn't part of anybody's backyard. So as we were working on the garden, people would come over and have conversations with us. And they still do. You find the children come in through the butterfly garden and look at the flowers and walk through the flowers. And the monarch butterflies have been coming to visit the garden. But that was not the only story. The part is that through our garden, we started spreading the habitat. We put in some milkweed plants at Blatnick Park. And now we've been working at Vale Urban Farm in Schenectady. It's just that one little garden kind of gave us wings to literally go and make connections in other places. And again, it was an idea that our neighborhood came up with, and everybody has contributed a little bit. So I guess what I bring to this group is my belief that, yeah, we have a lot of hurt, and it's pretty common. But what's going to get us through that is our strengths, that if we can work and build on our strengths, I think that's how we will work towards getting equity and justice. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Can everyone hear me? My name is John Lemlin, and thought I'd just introduce my background briefly. I recently retired from a 30-plus year career as an information technology consultant and project manager. During those years, I managed complex projects all across the United States. For the past 13 years, I've been leading independent quality assurance reviews of a variety of different public sector programs, which usually includes a critical review of operations, policies, and procedures, which I think is particularly relevant to the mission of the task force. I'm a certified project manager, PMP, from the Project Management Institute, and I've taught classes on project management, and that's another thing that I would certainly offer to the task force. Since 2017, I've been active in social justice and advocacy efforts across the Albany region. While I'm not an attorney, I am certified to practice immigration law, and I've analyzed statutes and regulations to protect the civil rights of my clients, including people of color, since that time. I currently serve on the board of the local chapter of the ACLU, and I'm an active member of the National Lawyers Guild as a legal observer. My wife's family is from Shanghai, and we have lived and raised our mixed race family in Niskayuna since 2001, so almost 20 years. Two of my kids are through college, and my youngest is still in Niskayuna High School. What else? I have an engineering degree from University of Connecticut, and I have an MBA from UCLA. I'm very excited to be part of this effort and to offer my skills to help the task force be successful. Thank you.
All right. Hello, my name is Jillian Margulies. I graduated from Niskayuna High School in 2018. I'm currently a junior in the Honors College at the University at Buffalo. I have been a Niskayuna resident since 2005, along with my parents and my younger brother, who is still in the high school. He's going to be a senior this year. Through the Girl Scouts of Northeastern New York, I did a lot of volunteer work here in Niskayuna. Most of my work was through the regional food bank, the city mission, and just local town events. It really is my greatest joy to give back to my community. I am a 4-time recipient of the Presidential Volunteer Service Award, and my goals are mostly I aspire to graduate with a master's degree and specialize in crimes against children and child trafficking. Currently, I am the intern to the police department on my campus. Most of my tasks are crime prevention projects. My goal for this task force is to establish equal opportunity, equal representation, and a transparent dialogue in our community regarding race and racial disparities. I also want to push town officials and school administrators to demonstrate constant work to be more inclusive. This community must put emphasis on the disparities on the educational level all the way through how our senior citizens are treated. And I look forward to serving my community and this task force to affect change in Niskayuna. And I hope to dedicate every skill and every minute of my time to hoping to see these changes.
Elizabeth?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
How about this? Can you hear? Is it too loud? Hello?
We can hear you, Elizabeth. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to read. I have a little bit more to say. My name is Elizabeth Paul. I have lived in this area for more than 3 decades with my husband, Paul John, and our 3 children, Joanne, PJ, and Jeffrey. I graduated from Kerala University with a BA degree in sociology and history. In my golden years, I graduated from Union College of Schenectady with a BS in sociology and women and gender studies. After retiring from the Union College of Schenectady as a dining service employee, I joined the Niskayuna Senior Center and volunteered in the Garden Club and the Senior Advisory Committee. Garden Club was an interesting one. I learned how to plant a bean plant and herbs by watching another senior member of the center, and I volunteer many other agencies. Showing love is basic to any faith. Helping others is one of the greatest gifts a human can give to someone. So why not make difference? Margaret Mead states that a small group of thoughtful people could change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Together, a small community like ours can accomplish so much. We represent a unique hybrid of different cultural, racial, and social backgrounds, which gives us the incredible opportunity to share our experience with our community. Creating a positive and welcoming avenue for seniors is the way to move forward with our task force. In order to make a change in our community, as well as in our surrounding communities, we have to show them that we wish to see the change in our community. Having privilege can give you an advantage in life, but having privilege is not a guarantee of success. In order to achieve this goal of integration and active community involvement, we, the members of the Task Force of Niskayuna, New York, are requesting everyone's cooperation and participation in future events. We as Task Force stand for equity and social justice. We can absolutely have an impact with the capital region and its surrounding areas. I am humbled, honored, and privileged to serve in this Task Force committee, and I will do my best to enhance the life of our senior citizens and other needy ones in our community. Thank you, and God bless.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jamie Puccioni. and I'm honored and happy to be a member of the task force. I am originally from Los Angeles, California. I earned a bachelor's degree in economics from Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon, and then returned to Los Angeles, earned a master's degree in education from Pepperdine, and I spent several years as a middle school teacher in the Los Angeles Unified School District. While in the Los Angeles Unified School District, I was a literacy content coach and a member of our school leadership team. After the birth of my son, I decided to pursue a PhD. And so our family moved to Lansing, Michigan, where I earned a dual PhD from Michigan State University in educational policy and curriculum instruction and teacher education. After earning my PhD, I was a postdoctoral research associate funded by the National Institutes of Health. And then I accepted a faculty position at University at Albany in the School of Education. So I have lived in Niskayuna since 2013. And as a faculty member at the University at Albany, I teach classes online, quantitative research methods, literacy for English language learners, classroom literacy instruction, and database decision-making. I also conduct research focused on educational opportunity and inequities and how these impact children's academic achievement and socio-emotional development. While at University at Albany, I have served as the vice president and the president of the Black Faculty Staff Association. I have a great deal of leadership experience and also quantitative research experience, and I hope to bring both of those strengths to the task force and moving our goals forward. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me? My name is Larry Ritter, and I've been a resident of Niskayuna for 30 years. I have, my family and I have been here for 30 years. I have two sons, one who graduated from Niskayuna High School, the other one graduated from CBA. My wife and I both worked in state service. My wife just retired after 34 years in state service. I worked in state service for 22 years. I was the director of EEO, and at that time called EEO and Affirmative Action. I had been certified by the National Coalition Building Institute to do DEI training, which I call Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion training, which is a national organization that does a lot of work in the New York State area. I also have my own business called Diversity Solutions, which I do diversity, DEI train, diversity, inclusion training. I also have a business degree and a minor in coaching. So for the first 15 years that I was in Niskayuna, I probably coached every young kid in basketball that came through the area. Not only did I have the opportunity to coach a lot of the young men that are now gone on to college and done wonderful things, I had the opportunity to bring diversity and inclusion training to most of the middle schools and high schools in the Capital District area. Matter of fact, Niskayuna was one of the schools that I provided diversity and inclusion training for. So again, my background is in diversity and inclusion, EEO, and I have also a strong background with minority and women businesses. I worked for Governor Mario Cuomo for 4 years in his Office of Minority and Women Business Development. So those are my skills. Those are the talents that I have. And as someone who has been in this area for 30 years, and as an African-American male, I have seen a lot happen in this community. And I am proud of the development in this community. And I look forward to helping us even do better things in the future. So thank you for selecting me as a member of this committee.
Is Devon present? Thank you, everyone, for your introductions, and I look forward to working with everyone as we progress. I'll now turn the meeting over to Dale as we move into our discussion of task force bylaws and our structure.
Okay, hello again, everyone. The bylaws were drafted by the work group on structure, and we sent them out and actually posted them to the Drive a little over a week ago, and I requested comments. I did receive comments from Sandra, Pretty, and Devon, and we have incorporated your comments into the bylaws. Does anyone wish to make a comment or discuss the bylaws prior to our taking a vote on the bylaws?
I wouldn't mind just making a few comments. It's Alexis Kim. I'm the Deputy Town Attorney for those of you who I haven't had the chance to meet yet. So you guys did a great job at the bylaws. I know that I sent a couple of shells, but this is really grassroots, your own substantive, procedures and protocols. And I mean, I think it suits well for the task force and its mission. The one area that I think maybe we could refine and add a little bit more clarity to is Article 5. It's the chairperson and other leadership responsibilities. I think so. Article 5. I think it adds the way that the chair's responsibilities are drafted. I'm not sure if it's the intent. Maybe puts a lot of responsibilities on one person. So, I mean, to the extent that they can always delegate, I mean, you don't want to, have a 15-person task force where one person is, charged with, doing a majority of the work and the interfacing with the town board and the task. And so either my recommendation would be to have like a rotating chair where the term isn't as long as 1 year, but perhaps, quarterly, or to delegate those, delegate those amongst other positions other than a vice chair and a chairperson.
May I just state that the way it was
Along with Alexis, I would like to agree that I think I sent an email, Dale, to the whole task force indicating that was a lot of responsibility for one chair. And I think that the most important thing is to do or have co-chairs, to have two people. That's just because so many things could happen, and one of it is like also the presence of attending these meetings that are so important. So I don't know if any of you actually got that email.
When did you send your email, Arinka?
I think I sent it like a week ago, right away when the rubber rules were discussed, and I sent that out back saying that it should be a co-chair, and also indicating the volunteering for the co-chair and so forth. But I think I agree. I totally agree with Alexis. I think
I saw that email too.
I'm sorry, Arinka, I don't want to overspeak you, but I didn't get your email. And when I sent out the email with the bylaws,
I saw that email.
I indicated that we should do comments in the Drive. And all the emails that I got, I responded to. So I'm not negating your email. I'm just letting you know I didn't receive it. And I didn't see any comments in the Drive. So what was your objection to the bylaws, and what change are you recommending?
I think the change is that should be 2 co-chairs, or either that or like what Alexis is recommending, to having a quarterly position for chairs and rotating it, because it's a lot of responsibility for just one person of 15. And not only that, it's just the presence and being having the information and being involved. It requires time as well. So one person for the whole role can't. It's almost impossible. It's
And I
almost
think another
impossible.
point too, not to cut you off, but I think another point is that for purposes of a quorum, I know it's defined as 10 of the 15 members, but typically quorums also would include, not only the numbers requirement, but the requirement that the chair or the chair's designee be in attendance of the meeting, just because they do have that, nucleus of knowledge by virtue of their role. So another kind of thought I had was that, this is such a new process where I know there's a lot of ideas flowing. I think it might be hard for somebody to know in this moment of time that they definitely want to be the chair of the task force, given that it's ever evolving nature and this is the first meeting. So perhaps depending on the frequency at which you foresee, your regular meetings, you could have just rotating, like have 2 co-chairs. It was almost like, I don't forget the term that you used to describe your role in leading this meeting, a co-moderator, like almost in that role, have, so that maybe perhaps people who are a little bit more soft-spoken, have the opportunity to see and feel out the leadership position before you move forward with electing a chair. So I'd be happy to, I know we're anxious to move forward with adopting bylaws tonight, but I think that, as is typical with all of the other public bodies I sit on, it's better. This is definitely, a marathon, not a sprint. I think we have really good bones for the bylaws, and so I don't think there's a rush to adopt them. I think maybe if we can identify areas that we agree perhaps need some work on, then that can be the group's focus. We can do it through Google Docs or what have you, rather than try to rush to amend during the meeting itself.
Alexis, may I pose a question?
Any
Of course.
comments?
So yes, if Coach,
I don't know that one, by the way.
oh my God, my Alexis thermostat just went off.
Oh yes, that always happens. I always get calls because people say my name and Alexa calls
It's
me.
in the same room I'm sitting in. I won't say your name again. I'm sorry. So if we decide that co-chairs is how we want to proceed, would both co-chairs need to be present in order to form a quorum, or just one?
No, and I mean, that isn't necessarily a requirement. It's just something typical you see in bylaws usually. You guys aren't forced to change your quorum to be 10. Right now it's fine as is, saying 10 of 15, but it just usually designates the names of officers. And also, so in so much as you planned on, for example, you want to have a backup for everything. So if you were going to have someone take minutes, like who's going to be the backup for that? If you were going to have someone, so a chair can always delegate to an authorized designee their responsibilities, but that just needs to be spelled out. So I think there's no harm in kind of holding off on appointing a chair, and maybe for the next couple of meetings, rotating through as, call it co-moderator, call it co-chair. And then after that, everyone has kind of had everyone who wants to has had experience to kind of take the co-lead on these meetings. That would be more the time where I think it would be appropriate juncture to appoint the chair and designate and delineate their responsibilities and authority.
Well, I think that's one possibility. That's
right. And then I also point that I was cut off, kind of thing that I could.
Yeah, I know these meetings are kind of difficult. I've had the fortune and misfortune of participating in many. So why don't I just call on people? I see a lot of people are trying to talk, so just to facilitate, I see Arinka is trying to speak.
Yes. Can we just mute?
So
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So the presence of the chair is always very important in any meeting. So not having a backup, if the chair cannot make it, the meeting has to be canceled completely. So, and that had happened in previous meetings that I have attended before. So what I am saying is the logical thing is to have a co-chair, because there's going to be situations where one co-chair is not going to be present there. And so I think that I put it at initially, it's a lot of responsibility for one chair.
So if you want, since I can see everybody, I mean, it looks like Jamie and Horton are both looking to speak. So Jamie, why don't you go? And then, like, I hate to play teacher. I just think this is easier for purposes of a video conference.
Actually, I'm not really sure what your role is in this because Dale and I are moderating and I can now see the screen. So first of all, I'd like to clarify the vice chair role is intended to serve as quote unquote a co-chair. It's just that that language seemed a little nebulous. What does a co-chair entail? So we outlined the vice chair is to assist the chair in all duties and collaborate and be there to support. So when the chair is not available, the vice chair then assumes the role.
That doesn't happen like that. The chair has to always be there in all the meetings.
That's not true.
The vice chair is not. It's not.
In fact, if you read the bylaws, you'll see that it does say in our bylaws.
Okay, but
the vice chair is there to step in to the shoes of the chair once the chair finishes his or her term, and also to support and back up the chair. So the vice chair does serve as the chair's designee. We did discuss that in the subgroup. And so
I think that we should revise these, Dale, because the chair has to be in all the meetings. There's no such a thing of vice chair replacing this. That's why the chair is actually taking this position, and maybe we can refine the definition with both, maybe.
But that's not how
can I say a few words here?
That's not how our bylaws are written. I'm sorry,
but the bylaws are not actually voted by everybody. So I mean, I even sent an email, and I don't feel that this is being.
Dr. Horton.
Yeah, thank you. I've got 2 points here. First of all, I've been a professional working in organizations for nearly 40 years, maybe a little more. And any organization where the chair has to be on every committee is dysfunctional. That's why you have committee chairs. That's the first thing. The second thing, I'm kind of curious about something. Alexis, you are not part of this this task force. I'm kind of curious of why. What is your role here?
So typically, if you look at the way that the boards are organized on the town website, so the office of the town attorney is always, we wouldn't say a member of the board because we don't vote, but in any public body that's subject to open meeting law, we serve in an advisory capacity and typically, for the most part, attend all, if not most, of the regular meetings to ensure compliance with open meetings law. You know, like I said, Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure aren't usually common knowledge of it's not the most exciting stuff, but so that's kind of the purpose. So we do not vote, we just advise.
I'm kind of concerned about your having an inadvertent and disproportionate impact on our discussions. Okay, I mean, the fact that I can see if we need some advice, that's fine. But I think that we should be able to have one of the things that, if I recall, in that beginning statement, welcoming us here, is that we have the ability to forge our path. Okay, and it seems like to me, if you actually are part of the government here, then you're having a disproportionate impact on what we're already. I see that. I'm kind of curious that's why I was kind of curious about your role. In terms of advisory capacity, yes, but it seems to me that I think you need to allow us to be able to work things out, okay? And so I just want to make sure that this is not the case, that you're going to stay in your lane and allow us to proceed.
Yes, of course. And like I said, I'm not appointed as a member of the task force. I totally respect that. I think that the dangers in not having, really clearly demarcated bylaws is that by default, you're governed by Robert's Rules of Order, which, per your bylaws and per the town, policy and procedure that requires constant interpretation by the office of the town attorney. So the purpose of the bylaws is to kind of get around the need for having office of the town attorney being at meetings saying, oh, you forgot to do the appropriate motion, or you didn't appropriately open the meeting or close the meeting or enter into executive session. So the bylaws actually reduce the need for a presence, in commentary by attorneys. And so, I think that's, I don't mean to have an overbearing or my opinion weighing too heavily on this. I just think that it's important to have bylaws so that you don't, unless you want to be governed by Robert's Rules of Order.
No, but see, here's the irony. The irony is that Dale and Jamie were, in fact, actually serving that function and getting us there. And your intervention kind of took us over to the side. And so, since this is in fact an independent body, as we're working here, allow us to go through this process. And I think we should allow Jamie and Dale to lead us, and because again, they're moderating this thing. And if we have a issue where we say, okay, give us your legal opinion based upon blah 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 blah, then certainly. But in the meantime, I think it's probably best for you not to intervene so that we can work and organically evolve. We're not rushing.
Yes, and
we're going to get there.
Can we, excuse me, can we just move?
Let me finish my sentence though, then we'll move. So we're not rushing and all that. But my point is that
we don't have that much time. I think that we are.
Can everybody mute their microphones? And Dr. Horton, you can finish your statement because there was overlapping sound. You were saying.
Oh, I'll just simply say that I think that we should allow Jamie and Dale to proceed. They're doing an excellent job, and because I think we're getting where we're supposed to go. And I just will not like to see there being a disproportionate amount of input and impact by external parties, because it seems as if that the council was controlling the task force. And to me, that's not the purpose.
Well, I completely understand, and like I said, I hope to be a fly on the wall. I will definitely respect what you just, the comments you just made. I will say though, as one of my obligations as an attorney is to issue spots. So I definitely think that letting people work through their problems leads to a better solution, and form the camaraderie and the trust within the task force. But that said, if I can't say that I will represent that I will never speak unless spoken to, because if I know that there's a potential violation of open meeting laws, or there's a potential legal issue that's not being spot, of course we'll be respectful of not interrupting people, but that's just part and parcel of the role of the attorney. And I agree, I am the biggest not a proponent of government intervening where it doesn't need to be. So I really don't want this to feel as if it's like a big brother presence.
Okay, thank you. Jamie, I'm going to call on David in a moment, but before I do so, I just want to address Alexis. Alexis, we sent you a copy of the bylaws when they were prior to the meeting being scheduled, and I got no response from you in writing. So I'm a little disappointed about that, but we will discuss further and see if the body wishes to vote on the bylaws today, or they wish to defer that vote for a later date, and maybe schedule a special meeting so that we can, in less than a month, maybe 2 weeks, so that we can schedule a time to vote on the bylaws and also maybe nominate some officers. As to the issue of a rush, there is no rush to move forward. But once we have a structure, at least as discussed among the subgroup, at least we can start moving forward with our groups, our work groups, and developing some order. At least that's what the subgroup thought. Let's see what the body of this group thinks. So I thank you for your comments, Alexis. And David, you wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Dale. I just wanted to say that I feel that moving deliberately but slowly is really important in the work we're undertaking. And I think I don't feel, and I'm going to say Ms. Kim because I don't want to say your name because I don't want my thing to go off again. But I think Ms. Kim is serving in her official capacity as counsel, deputy town counsel, and in an advisory capacity to the group. And if she and or Paul, if he's here in the future, can advise us to potential pitfalls that we may stumble into moving forward, I think we should heed that counsel. I don't feel like I'm being hindered or that the group is being hindered. I think it's good advice to, if we have to pump the brake on one article of the bylaws temporarily, I think, Dale, 2 weeks is a reasonable amount of time for us to reconsider that portion of the bylaws and perhaps anything else in there that is up for discussion. I did look at the bylaws, but I gave it one look over. I did not have the time to look at it again. And I think in hindsight, yeah, that's a lot of responsibility for a chairperson to undertake and to have that consistently for a whole year. And again, we can talk about that later. I just wanted to say, I think slowly and deliberately should be our course or our pace anyway. And I know we're going to do great work. I'm convinced of that when I heard all the introductions, and I will rest my piece there. Thank you.
David, just one point of clarification.
Yeah.
Are you recommending a vote on the rest of the bylaws? Or are you saying let's table the vote on the bylaws tonight in whole?
I think they're worth another look, honestly, Dale. I think maybe we table them as a whole for just a couple of weeks, perhaps. Even if we decide we don't want to meet every month, maybe for the first month or two, we'd go by 2 weeks, by 2 week intervals. Again, that would have to be a consensus among the group. It's a fabulous document. But it's a lot to absorb. And I don't think we need to rush through adopting any part of it tonight. I think it's worth another look moving forward so that we can avoid, as Ms. Kim said, the reliance on her or Paul's counsel. It would reduce it, would not eliminate it moving forward if we were able to adopt the bylaws and all of us be comfortable with them instead of having to worry about Robert's rules.
And also, if I could interrupt, I think generally the development of bylaws is generally an involved task. So I think it's appropriate for us to, while not drag our feet, take our time in terms of adopting these bylaws.
So let's take a vote. You can vote by saying aye, nay, or abstain, and we'll poll the entire body as to whether or not we're going to table our vote on the bylaws for 2 weeks from now, and we'll schedule another meeting. So let's proceed with the vote.
So perhaps we can put our
Hello?
answers in the chat.
I don't
Hello, Dale, can you hear?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I can just poll everyone. I think, why go all over the...
Hello?
Elizabeth would like to speak.
Yes,
Yeah,
Elizabeth?
could you please give me a time to talk something? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, Dale. Thank you, Kim, for your wonderful explanations and your time. We appreciate that. Okay, Dale, we can hold on to these bylaws because none of us seen, or I know I saw a glimpse, but we didn't. We have to talk each other. So step by step. I know we are as a group to work together, but we have to get all the people's input in here. There is no rush, but we have to have meetings every 2 weeks or once a month as a group. Okay, so whatever we do, we have to do as a group. We are a group, not individual persons. And again, Kim, thank you for the input. Thank you.
Okay. So I move at this time.
Just a moment, Dale, may I say one thing? Since we are doing much of our work online, Everyone needs to check documents online, read them, comment in a timely manner in order to participate. Because if we wait a month to have another discussion about the bylaws, and then we wait another month and another month, then we'll be taking a very long time. So we have to recognize we need to do work virtually. And that means reading documents online, writing comments, and engaging in conversation remotely.
Jamie, I would like to take the word on you. I definitely agree with you. But I also want to recognize that there's people in our task force that they are not like technology savvy, and they might hurt by not being able to sometimes get into like the documents that are being uploaded. So we need to facilitate, these documents to some of the members that are not well what's it called, not well prepared to with the technology. So I'm just trying to be flexible to everybody's needs, and so that we can also meet deadlines. And I also want to talk for me. I did send an email saying about the co-chair. That is very important that two people serve this task force for many reasons. Perhaps I failed to be more clear to everybody, but I think that it's very savvy, like Angela said, to take the time. 2 weeks, I don't think it's not going to take that long for us to go deep. I have actually gone through the document and found a lot of grammatical errors myself, and I think that this document can be cleaned up much better.
And also, if I could add, I did make changes to the agenda here, but the version that is up right now isn't the version that I made changes to. And so I think that it is important for us to understand that we will have to do work in between sessions, and also understanding the limitations of the technology, and also understanding the limitations that other people may have. But I did see, Harinka, your email about the co-chairs. I definitely saw that.
Thank you, Angela. I appreciate that.
I think also in the flurry of emails, it's very difficult to keep track of everything. And as an online educator, that's why I feel it's very important to have a single location where people can post their comments and everyone can see it, because emails get lost and there's 15 of us. So again, if everyone can really if you need help getting access to the Google Drive, please reach out because I can help. And moving away from email after email after email, I think will help us be much more organized and avoid missing important information.
Okay, let's take a quick poll vote. It does sound like most people want to table the bylaw discussion for tonight and schedule another meeting in 2 weeks. So please state your vote: aye, nay, or abstain. Arinka?
Aye. For 2 weeks.
David?
Aye to table for 2 weeks.
Angela?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. Ketty? Kay?
Aye for 2 weeks.
Alan isn't here. Okay. Sandra?
Aye for 2 weeks.
Dr. Horton,
Aye for 2 weeks.
John,
Aye for 2 weeks.
Jillian,
Aye for 2 weeks.
Liz,
Aye for 2 weeks.
Jamie,
Aye for 2 weeks.
Larry,
Aye for 2 weeks.
and Devon. Have you joined us? Okay. It's a.
Dale, I think we missed Pretty. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought I said pretty. Pretty, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, I was going to say aye in any case. That's all right.
Okay. It's passed. So, will we be doing exactly 2 weeks on a Wednesday?
Works for me.
And I move that we table the nominations for any positions.
I'll second that. Let's take a quick vote. Is your vote the same? All you have to do is say yes or no. Arinka,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
Dr. Horton,
Yes.
Pretty,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Julian,
Yes.
Liz. Is your vote the same? Jamie,
Yes.
Yes.
and Larry.
Yes.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry. Dale, are you abstaining as well on that one?
Seconded.
You
I
second, okay, I'm sorry.
seconded the motion,
Got it, thank you.
so I did not put a vote in because I seconded. So, as it is, we have decided to table the vote on the bylaws and also table nominations for any of our officers for a period of 2 weeks. And it appears that we're going to schedule our second meeting for
September 9th. September 9th, is it, I believe?
yes, this is the 20th. September 9th at 6:00 p.m. Jamie and I are not permanent moderators. So if anyone wishes to moderate the next meeting, we can certainly have that happen. So please let us know.
Absolutely. In fact, is there anyone who would like to do that?
I think you guys are doing a great job until we get officers. Let's have at least some stability here, shall we?
I
I'll
agree.
just reiterate, if you are having any technology issues in accessing the materials, please send me an email and we can set up a time to talk one-on-one or meet, and I can help troubleshoot and walk you through any technology issues you might have.
So I don't have any, issues with the technology. I am, pretty savvy with that. However, I made some changes to this agenda, which are not reflected in the PowerPoint that's up. So I think we just may need to sort of figure out what happened there.
Yes, Angela, thank you for pointing that out. It could be related to the fact that there was a different PowerPoint presentation that was going to be presented by Priti, but due to some family issues, she had to step back. And Dale and I then helped arrange for a new PowerPoint presentation and a new agenda, also based on guidance from the town lawyers. So perhaps that is one of the areas where there was some something lost in translation. So I think also we can look at the Google Drive itself, and I can put some more order on that so that the folders have names which make it very clear. If everyone's okay with that.
Yeah. Thank you for your leadership, Jamie and Dale, around this, and for the subcommittee leadership as well.
I also encourage everyone to please take a look. We do have some time issues because Governor Cuomo's order gives us 1 year to work on the issue having to do with justice and criminal justice and law. And although it's not a part of our charge, it is implicit that the town took this action and they have incorporated language having to do with Governor Cuomo's order. So I'm going to ask everyone to take a look at Governor Cuomo's order and the town's charge, and maybe consider which working groups you want to be on. And maybe we can start at least working on the working groups, including the working group for criminal justice and equity. Okay.
Okay. And then again, thank you so much, Dale and Jamie, for such a wonderful organization and for putting the input in there. Like as well, I did uploaded my my auto bio, but I don't know what happened. It didn't. I don't know. Again, but thank you very much. And if I can help with anything, I can also volunteer to try to help and moderate as well. Okay.
Okay. We have a few working groups that are currently active. That's the communication group, the structure group, and the agenda group. So those groups are pretty active, and we can still work together to move towards the next meeting. Before we close the meeting, I'll give everyone an opportunity to comment if they wish. Does anybody want to make comments?
I have to say I have to step off now for another call. However, that call is a chat on the Twitterverse for increasing minority representation in research. So feel free to hop on the Twitterverse for that call. All right, I got to go, folks. Have a good night.
Okay, take care, Angela. Anyone else wish to make a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say that I want to again commend both Dale and Jamie on what I think is an excellent job in co-moderating. Thank you. I tell you,
Thank you.
I have my brothers. I already see our chair and vice chair. So
thank you, Dr. Horton. At this time, I'm going to move to close the meeting. Does anyone wish to second my motion?
I'll second it.
Second.
Seconded, and so the meeting will now stand closed, and we will reconvene September 9th at 6 p.m. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good job.
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
Get out of here.
Good job, Dale.
Thank you, Irinka.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
So how do you get out of here?
Oh, you just press the phone, the red phone at the
Oh,
bottom.
okay. Okay.